Hello and welcome back to Tech Tuesday. I am Steve Leahy. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have been watching. Well, I hope you have been watching. But I started a kind of a new thing on Mondays. Not every Monday, but every once in a while Monday, and that's called Model Monday. So I got back into doing a little bit of scale modeling, something I haven't done since I was a kid. So I was looking for a hobby, and I realized how much I missed doing that as a kid. So I started getting back into it. So I thought I'd share that journey with you on Mondays. Again, it's not every Monday because it's really a hobby, and it's whenever I can get a chance to get in on it. But they do pop up. So I have a Tech Tuesday that has resulted from that. And this is usually how Tech Tuesdays come about for me, how little tips and tricks happen. I'm watching someone else work, or I'm doing something out of my comfort zone, and I realize something or some aspect of it that will directly relate back to my small painting, or my painting in general. So what I'm doing is I'm building this model of an AT-ST from Star Wars. And there's a lot of really tiny parts. It's a 1/48 scale thing. And what happens is you can get one of these things. This is from Evermodel, and I'll put a link to this in the description. So it's just kind of like this plastic weighted block with a bunch of holes in it. It comes with 20 of these little alligator clips on stands, and the idea is you put it in one of these little holes right here, and then this will hold your model part while you're airbrushing. So if you have something that you need to paint, like this cockpit here, you just kind of clip this on a part that doesn't need to get paint on it, like that, and then you just drop it in any one of the holes. There we go, and that'll hold it while you're spraying it. So most modelers are familiar with this, but one of the things I was working on were the pilots for this little cockpit right here. So it's just this little guy right here. So when I paint really small, even on my stuff, on my regular panels, I love to use two hands. So this was a great idea. I thought it would really work well. But what I found was, one, it just kind of sits in this holder, and it's not very tight of a fit. So this little guy can spin around, especially when using an airbrush. It'll just kind of like the air will blow it around. Plus, well, I mean, I had no way to really clamp onto this guy, so I kind of stuck him on there with a meat skewer. But then that got me thinking, well, this clip right here is surely steel. It needs to be strong. It's probably made out of steel. And lo and behold, it really is. So this is a neodymium magnet. So this thing will stick right to the magnet. And I'm like, wow, that's really cool. Now this will hold it. Because when I'm doing really small stuff, I usually use two hands. So for instance, if I'm doing that little insignia on his shoulder there, I'll like cup my hand in my other hand so I can kind of brace my fingers to kind of do those really super small things. And I do the same thing with the airbrush as well. So I'll cup the airbrush in my hand, and that way I just have a lot more control over the airbrush. It's not like I'm not trying to hang the airbrush in the air like this just to get it done. I can brace my hand on the surface and then kind of go to town. What I was pleasantly surprised with, and this is why I'll link this in the description, this stem here, at first I thought it was just some sort of plastic, but it actually also has a piece of steel in the middle of it, a steel core. So now what I can do is I can take two of these neodymium magnets, and they'll hold this thing rock solid wherever I need it to be. So if I'm working on that insignia, I can do that. I can turn it a little bit, or I can just open up the alligator clip and turn it as well. But this thing now is super sturdy, and now I can really get in there and do all those really super tight details. Or I can airbrush with two hands and not worry about that thing moving around, and it really works well. So that's my super simple tip. And like I said, I'm not sure if all those model holders have a steel core in them like this one does. In fact, I don't think this is a core. I think the entire rod is steel, which is great. Now, real quickly too, if you've been following me, you know that I've been using the Visionaire station. I bought this station that I can do live feeds, and I'll put a link to this station too. This has a steel plate on it. That's how these magnets work. So if you don't have a Visionaire setup, you just need some sort of piece of steel that you can work with. Now the Visionaire setup is really nice because right now this is upright. It's probably about 80 degrees. Oh, you know, 90 is straight up. This is about 80, maybe 75 degrees. But because of the version of this that I got, I can actually tilt this down perfectly flat. So I can work with it like a table. So it would work the same way with these little, you know, magnets and holders. It would just be flat. I'm not saying run out and buy a Visionaire for your modeling, but this Visionaire setup has been amazing across the board in so many ways. Like originally, like I said, I bought this just to do the live feeds. It's a separate place that I didn't have to always set up cameras and lights and all this stuff. It was always ready to go. But I have found that I paint here all the time now. I do have a old drafting table that I was painting on before, but I find I paint on this station all the time. It's just super versatile. And if you go back, I do a little bit of a Tech Tuesday on the Visionaire setup too, so you can check that out. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that helps in whatever way that it can help. And thank you guys for jumping in. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe and click that bell icon for notifications. And as always, I'm Steve Leahy for Tech Tuesday, and I will catch you guys next week.